What's cooking, everybody? Dave Altizer here with Kinotika, and today we're talking about the best hybrid camera of the year. What is it? You're gonna have to find out after this really sweet intro. You probably already know which camera we're talking about based on the thumbnail and title. Spoiler alert, it's the XT3, which, by the way, if you're interested in buying this camera at the end of this review, please consider buying it through the link below. It really helps us out. We used the Fujifilm X-T3 to cover a concert and a promo video, so we have a lot of experience using this thing in a professional environment, and we'll touch on all that later in this review. But first, the specs. Inside of the X-T3, we have a brand new 26.1 megapixel APS-C X-Trans sensor with a new X processor 4 and quad-core CPU. The camera can go up to 4K at 60 frames per second with 10-bit internal recording, a 2.16 million point phase detection autofocus system, a 3.69 million dot OLED viewfinder, a 3-inch 1 million dot tilting LCD touchscreen, extended ISO of 80 to 51,200, 30 frames per second burst shooting max, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and a weather-sealed magnesium alloy body. All for only $14.99. That's right, $14.99. Honestly, if this camera cost $2,000, nobody would even bat an eye, but $14.99 is seriously amazing for what this camera can do. If you're directly comparing this camera to the A7 III or even the EOS R, it's not really the most fair way to look at things because, well, those cameras are full frame and this camera has a crop sensor. But in this video, we're looking at video quality, photo quality, and overall price performance, and not just sensor size. We used the X-T3 for a shoot and we were seriously blown away by the 60 frames per second 4K. This camera has really great autofocus performance. It's similar to dual pixel autofocus and it gives you face tracking and motion tracking. I found the autofocus to be really reliable when tracking faces and different objects. You get all the normal picture profiles on this thing, including the new F-Log. The X-T3 can record in 10-bit internally. If you're not familiar, the difference between 8-bit and 10-bit is much bigger than, well, 2 bits. 10-bit gives you billions more color information than 8-bit. That's right. I said billions and billions. Low light performance is pretty good on the X-T3, however, I wouldn't go above 6400. When you're looking at getting into a brand ecosystem like Fuji, you gotta consider the lenses for that system. Fuji's lenses are amazing, and when you're looking at the best value or bang for buck camera, you gotta consider the lens lineup for that camera as well, because, well, you can't use a camera without a lens, so. Take Sony, for example. When you look at their cameras, they come at a really fair price, but as soon as you start adding lenses to your camera, you're spending typically more than your camera's value on a lens. This seems like a strategy that Sony is doing to try to hook people into their ecosystem to then pay a ton of money for lenses. Fuji, on the other hand, has a bunch of very nice pro lenses, but also some really affordable options as well. Take those small little f2 primes, for example. They come in at about like $300 and they have amazing image quality and they're super small. Because this camera is a crop sensor, you get smaller lenses, which for me, I would rather have. When it comes to stills, you can max out a burst rate of 11 frames per second in the mechanical shutter mode. But as soon as you switch to the electronic shutter mode, you're given two options. You can shoot 40 frames per second in the standard mode, but as soon as you go into that boost mode, you can actually shoot 60 frames per second in the electronic shutter. A lot of people like to say that Fuji's should be shot in JPEG because they have these amazing film simulation modes built into the camera. But I really recommend shooting in RAW for everything because it's always going to be the best option. Because this camera has dual card slots, you can actually record a RAW image on one card and then a JPEG on the other, giving you a nice separation between the two files. If you just want to post something quickly on Instagram, just pull the JPEG. But if you want to dive deeper into the RAW, well, you have it on the other card. Between the amazing video performance, the incredible stills performance, and the great price, for us, the X-T3 comes in as the best hybrid camera of the year. The Sony a7 III may come close, but because the E-mount lenses are so expensive, the lack of 4K 60, the lack of 4K 10-bit, and the color science being subpar, we just have to give the big ol' fat juicy W to Fujifilm. Once again, if you're interested in buying the X-T3, we've included a link below. It's an affiliate link, so we get a small commission with no fee to you. Once again, I'm Dave Altizer. This is my thinking cap. See you next time.